We're here at Grizzly Outfitters and it's the start of the season and we're just looking at the equipment you need for skiing. Firstly, skis. When choosing skis, it's very important to choose the right length of ski for your ability and your height. If you're a beginner, you'll want a pair of skis roughly like this, roughly chest height. If you're an intermediate skier, you'll want a pair of skis that is roughly face height, something like this. And if you're an expert and a bit more of an adventurous skier, you might want a pair of skis that are head height or even slightly longer than your height. As you can see, there's a huge selection of skis to choose from, but the important thing is to get the right length of ski for your ability. When choosing poles, it's also important to pick exactly the right length. And you have to turn the pole upside down because this section beneath the basket is actually going to be embedded in the snow. What you're looking for when you hold the pole just below the basket is a right angle at the elbow. If you've got the right angle, you've got the right length of pole. When choosing boots, it's important to choose the right flex of boot for your ability. If you choose a boot that is too advanced, it will be too stiff and you will not be able to bend your ankles. As for the fit, the boot should hold your foot firmly, but not be so tight as to cut off the blood supply. If you go see a reputable boot fitter, they will be able to find the right boots for your shape of foot. It's important to have comfortable feet if you want a happy ski trip. Once you've got your boots and your skis, you need to get your bindings adjusted correctly. This means that you have to have them set to the right setting for your height, weight and ability. If you have your bindings set too stiff, they will not release in the event of a fall. If you have them set too loose, they will pre-release all the time when you're just skiing normally. If you're not sure of your correct setting, have your bindings adjusted by an expert in a shop. When you're getting yourself kitted out, you want to go for layered clothing, starting with a base layer of thermals and finishing with a good, breathable, waterproof layer. You will also need a helmet. This is especially important for children. You'll need eye protection, goggles or sunglasses. Goggles are better if the weather is bad. You will need gloves or mittens for your hands. You'll also need sunscreen because the ultraviolet rays are reflected off the snow and are very strong when you're out on the mountain. For bad weather days, you may want to consider a gaiter or a face mask to protect your face from the cold and wind. If you're going to go off-piste or into the backcountry, as it's known in North America, you need to take some precautions for your safety. Never go alone, and if possible, go with a qualified local mountain guide. When you go out there, you need to carry a beacon, a shovel, and a probe. If possible, before you go, you should take some lessons on snow stability. Before every ski day, it's really important that you do a good warm-up. It gets your body moving and it reduces the risk of injury. First, you need to do some active movement to get your heart rate up. Lifting the legs is a good exercise. Also, running on the spot is a good exercise for this. After you have your pulse rate up, you need to do some stretching exercises. Good examples of stretching exercises are stretching the abductors, stretching the hamstrings, stretching the quads, stretching the calf muscles. After a good warm-up, you'll be ready for whatever the mountain has to throw at you. Here's a couple of helpful tips about putting on your skis. Firstly, if you're on a slope, you'll find it much easier if you approach your skis from below and put your downhill ski on first. To scrape the snow off your boot, it's easiest to scrape the boot against the toe piece of the binding, then stamp the toe into the toe piece and click down on the heel. Same thing with the uphill ski. When clicking into the uphill ski, it's important that you push against the hill. Once you've got both skis on, you're ready to go. Whatever level of skiing you're at, you will never get your technique right until you get your basic stance right. This means that you need to flex your ankles, knees, and hips. And the most important of those three is the ankles. You bend your ankles by pushing forward in your boots, pushing your shins against the tongues of your boots. The other important thing is to always have your hands forward in front of you. That way you'll always be in a good balanced position right in the middle of your skis. If you find yourself fallen over on a slope, here's how to get up. First, spin yourself around so that your skis are below you, facing across the slope. That way they won't set off while you're still trying to get up. Then grab both your poles in one hand and put your downhill hand on the top of both poles. That way you'll be able to push yourself upright. Back on your feet and good to go. One thing that a lot of intermediate skiers find difficult is eliminating that last little bit of wedge or snowplow to start their turns and moving to pure parallel turns. The way to do this is to learn how to release your edges from the previous turn. And the best way to do this is by moving your center of gravity out over your skis to start the turn. As you do this, both skis will naturally roll onto the new edges, and hopefully they will do this simultaneously. Then you will have the start of a true parallel turn. The holy grail of a lot of skiers is carving, doing those beautiful carved turns. Now the way to carve, firstly you have to widen your stance. So you actually have to have your feet quite wide apart. This allows you to extend your outside leg towards the outside of the turn, and that allows you to get a lot of edge angle on that outside ski. Then the other important thing is to start the turn purely by tipping the ski and not pivoting it. Then as you go around the turn and the forces start to build up against you, you'll find that you're able to drop your hips down low towards the inside of the turn. And the way you do that is by bending your inside leg whilst keeping your outside leg relatively extended. This is called long leg, short leg, and it's a key part of carving. It'll take a while to learn this, especially on steeper slopes, but it is a wonderful sensation, and like I say, it's the holy grail of skiing. When putting on a ski in powder, there's a neat trick you can use to stop your binding filling up with snow. First, pick up the ski and then stick it into the snow at an angle. This will allow you to scrape your boot on the binding and then click into the ski. Once you've got your skis on, you're ready for more powder. When you're skiing powder, you want to have a narrow stance with your feet together so that the snow can't get between your boots and snag your feet apart. You also want to have 50-50 weight distribution so that your weight is equal on both feet. If you have too much weight on one ski, it'll sink deeper than the other and you'll tip over. Also, you want to have a lot of up and down weighting so that you sink down into the powder on each turn and then come back up to the surface of the powder between the turns. And you want to have a nice rhythm which you set with your pole plants. That's how you ski powder. And most of all, enjoy your day on the slopes.